I'm Jim Gary at Batilipe's Workshop. Today is a bit of a different video. I'm assembling a new bird cage and showing you why I needed the new cage. If you're interested, there are links to some of my other videos in the description below, so please like and subscribe. Now let's get on with the video. I've got a new bird cage. And of course it comes in a flat box, so I have to put it back together, or put it together. So let's do that. Looks simple enough. More. Even more. It's a lot of pieces. It's a plastic seed drawer. Perches. Box of parts and instructions. Separated all the pieces. They were packed very nicely. I didn't find really any piece that was damaged. So it's got these, which I don't like to use. I'll put in something else. I use stainless steel bowls on my other cages. Then there's the casters. I got casters. And a bunch of screws. They're hex drive, it looks like. There's only a few nuts and washers, so I think most of these are just the screws. And they're actually not screws, they're bolts, but they must thread into captive nuts. If you like IKEA, you'll love this. So they've got it simplified pretty well. There's an Allen key, and there's a bunch of 1-inch screws, it looks like. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 longer screws. And there's 4 nuts and 4 washers. Came with an Allen wrench. I don't like to use these putting things together. It takes too long. But I've got one from a previous job that I've kept. And I've got one end a little bit rounded so it goes in more easily, and I just put it on my drill. And I use a drill rather than a driver because I can set the torque on the drill so that I won't strip out anything. I can set it low enough it'll tighten just the way I want. So it says to select the back panel first. So the captured nuts are in the edge of the side panel. I'm just going to put these loosely together for now. And now it wants me to put on the other side panel. The thing about birds is they spend all the time on the top end of the cage, and the bottom cage of the cage they never go to. So you really don't need a cage that goes all the way to the floor, unless you have like a lot of little tiny birds that might get down there. So the next part is to put the front panel on. And it's kind of a big door. I prefer a smaller door. Big door, you're trying to put a bird in up here, and the smaller bird, another bird, can fly right back out again. There's no branding on the instructions. It says model 10062 number sign. And the box says it's made by Mech Cage, so M-C-A-G-E. So that's the brand, I guess. Now I've got to fasten the top grid, and that's this one here. This is part 4. Oh, I see. It goes underneath the floor, so it'll help support the something. We'll see. So now we can put those on the floor for a minute. And again, all the screws are just hand tight. So this is the bottom grid, and it's a wider grid than the sides and the top because the birds can't actually reach this because this is going to be below the bottom of the cage. Well, the instructions are getting pretty vague now. Every time I put something together that came as a kit like this, I always keep the spare metric bolts because I don't have a lot of those. And it just came in handy because I found the metric nut that I needed. So these two bars have to go on. And I'm going to assume this little tab here goes on the outside of the cage so that when the cage just sets on there, it'll fit. I'm just snugging up these rails. The torque set at 4 on this, and that seems to be about right. Okay, so the stand's good. I'm going to put it on the floor. I'll put the cage back up and tighten up all the bolts. What I don't like is it looks like just gravity holds it onto that bottom. So I'll set this on the rack. So here's the cage on the rack on the floor. So I've got to tighten up the top screws. So let's put the casters on it. Take this back out. I'm sure they just slip right in. Now I can put this back up. Put the cage back on it. Okay, and it apparently does not have any system to hold the cage on, so I'm going to put some tie wraps on it. So this has to go in. That, then the bottom, keep the birds out of the trap. This just goes in like that. Okay, so I can fit those tie wraps on there. There. It's got these extra pieces here, and I think these are so you can partition off for breeding when you're breeding birds, but we're not going to be breeding birds. I'm not going to do that. It's good, and I can pick the whole thing up, stand and all, so that's what I wanted. To set up the new bird cage, I want to get some natural perches in there, and we have mostly oak trees, and oak is okay for birds, and I want them to be kind of irregular, and I'm going to have 2 that go across, so they have to be at least about 30 inches long. I'll trim them to fit, and then a couple that go the depth, which is about 18 inches. That would work for one. Here's a thicker one. And I think I can cut the rest of the perches I need out of this. So I'll take these 2 into the shop. And I had 30 1/4 for the width and 18 3/8 for the depth. So then I'll drill a hole in each end, and then I can just fasten it in with a screw and a washer. I had a conure. His name was George. I had him for 30 years. I owned his parents as well. But I got him since he was a baby. And he lived 32 years. It's a long time. And I used to get him new perches every now and again. So he would just, because he liked peeling the bark off them and stuff. It just gave him something to do. These are what the bird cage supplier provides with the cage. These are like not even a 1/2 inch. Birds don't necessarily like smooth dowels things, and they don't like all one thickness, so I like to give them a choice of thicknesses. I want to make sure that the screw I put in to hold this in isn't going to split the wood, so drilling a test hole. So let's see if that'll screw in without splitting the wood. Yeah, that'll work fine. Barry isn't very happy right now because I walked in with all this stuff she's not used to. Normally she comes right to the cage to greet me, but she's not going to do that this time. There you go, Barry. Come on. There you go. Yeah, she's going to let me pet her over there, but she's scared because I brought in sticks and stuff she's not familiar with. But she's a sweet baby. She's a good girl. And the whole point of changing her cage is the cage she's in currently is a big cage made for macaws and that size bird, and it's just too much for her. And the worst thing is, it's so big and heavy, I can't wheel it out. And I designed this bird room with a couple of features. One is it's got these pocket doors, and it will eventually, for somebody else that didn't have birds, be used probably as a dining room. But I've got these special latches. These cost a fortune to buy. They're from Australia. I looked everywhere to find really secure latches. So when these go together, they can be locked just like that. Because I don't want a dog getting in here and wreaking havoc. Even if a dog doesn't get in the cage, a bird can freak out. Another feature of the bird room is we have a dedicated robot for it, so it cleans up the bird seed every day off the floor, so I don't have to sweep in here. And lastly, well, I've got a prep area for feeding them and cleaning their cages. But the best thing is I've got this door that goes out of my front porch. And the idea was I would roll the cages out during the day on nice days so they could enjoy being outside. And this big macaw cage is just way too big. It's so hard to get out there. I can do it, but I often don't. So that closes, so let's put the food dish in. Now, a big bird like a macaw would pull this dish out and just throw it on the floor in 2 seconds. So that's not a very good design. Better bowls have a dimple on the outside, and so it takes some resistance to put it in, but it won't matter for Barry. She's not that way. So let's make sure the door shuts. So this will be her food side. And I'll go ahead and do the other side off camera. So here's her water dish. Again, it fits kind of loose for a bigger bird, but it'll be fine for her. So let's figure out the perches. I want all the perches about on this level. Anything on this level would be fine for her. Screw, and I've got a washer to sit on the outside. And I'm thinking putting this about this level. That's sturdy enough, allows her to get to her food. So now I'm gonna put the other ones in off camera. So we're pretty good there. Got that. I used to use newspaper for many, many years. I had a neighbor that was still getting the Wall Street Journal here, but he stopped finally. So I had to buy newsprint. And it wasn't very expensive, the newsprint, but I'd much rather just have a stack of newspapers. So there we go, got nice paper in there. What I'm going to do is wait for a while, get her settled down, and do my best to get her in the cage. I don't know if I can do it on camera because she seems really camera shy. So I added a couple of these smaller perches from her old cage, and I put it in one of her hanging perches from her old cage. And I'll do more later, but this is enough for now. Okay. There, I finally caught her. She had to get a little tired out. But here, let's just put her in here. See what she does. Okay, it's okay, Barry. She's mad at me now. But you know, they're funny. Birds are funny. They don't bite you. Once you know them, they'll bite you, but they don't really try to tear your fingers off. The worst I've ever been bit by a bird was a little parakeet I was hand taming for a friend years and years ago. Lola here, she'll bite at me. Now the reason I keep them in separate cages is because Barry's pretty tame and I can take her out and handle her. But when you put birds together in a cage, they bond with each other and they kind of exclude you. So what happened with Lola in here is Lola was really tame for about 2 years. And then I had 3 birds in 3 cages, so I thought, well, that's dumb. So I put her in with this little lovebird. And he is super defensive of the lovebird. As you can see, he's walking back and forth guarding her. And so, I mean, I can grab him and when I need to and stuff, and he'll bite at me, but he won't like draw out too much blood, if any. That's why if you want to handle a bird all the time, you typically need to keep them in separate cages. A lot of people just feed their parrots birdseed, and I mean, they can live on that, but it's really not ideal. So every morning, I feed them once a day, and every morning I cut up a little bit of strawberry. So this is for both cages, so I split it into two. This side for the lovebird and the conure, this side for berry. If I can get a good sized grape, I'll split a grape. And I don't put a whole lot of vegetables in there because they fling them around and they throw them on the floor and they rot in the bottom of the cage. They get nasty, so I give them just a moderate amount. And I clean the paper, try to clean it once a week. As you'll see, they get quite a bit of seeds as well. And I don't like giving birds those artificial food pellets. I've always stuck with seeds, fruits, and little vegetables. So here's some spinach I'm cutting up. And again, I cut it small because birds will pick something up, nibble a little bit, and drop it. So if you put big leaves in, they'll take one little bite out of each one, and the rest will end up on the cage bottom. So if you cut it up small like this, they'll eat a lot more of it. So here's Berry in her cage, and I ended up putting the long perch along here. She's freaking out. Along here so she can get closer to me when I want to pet her. I'll try lifting this up and seeing if I can get to her. Berry. Berry. There you go. There you go. Yeah. That's a good bird. Before I had the perches up higher and I was having to reach up to get her. She didn't like that at all. And then she's got plenty of perches elsewhere in here, so she's in pretty good shape. And she is still pretty sensitive about her new living situation. So I'm gonna take out her food dish, make sure she was attacking me for a while there, so I'm a little nervous until she gets more used to it. So these are her seeds from yesterday, what's left. So I'll give her some new seeds here. And then I'll put in her fruit. Just throw it right on top of the seeds. That seems to leave the least mess. So it ends up like this. That seems to be good for her. So I'll just set that food in for her. There you go, Berry. And I'll change your water later, but I change the water every morning as well. What I want to do now is show you why I wanted Berry's cage. And I've got this ramp I built. So I can take Berry's cage now. It's nice and light. Very easy to bring her down. See, she's not even that upset about it. Well, I used to do this a lot, but the cage just got so heavy. So now Berry can enjoy a nice morning out here. I'll come and get her in about an hour because once it's cloudy now, but once the sun comes up, if it does, it gets too hot out here. But there she is. She looks very happy to be out again. She hasn't been out in a while. So that's good. I'll bring the other birds in a minute, out here too, in a minute. Well, that about wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about small parrots. So thanks for watching. If you found this useful, please like and subscribe. Bye.